At the risk of sounding old, man, this thing shows up on my phone, no problem. I just touch it and it opens and it's there and I can read it. But this computer, it wants to fight me just to put the agenda on my screen. Right there. Door open. You're shuffling. Could it be?
Oh,
Maybe.
Nice.
Possibly. It is. You were getting play by down the hallway.
Whew. 45 seconds to spare.
No.
Ish.
My screen says 7. Thank you for coming. I'd like to call the Middleville Village Council meeting to order. Kim, may I have roll call, please?
Mike Kramer,
Here.
Stephen Baldry,
Here.
Robert Bishop,
Here.
Richard Hamilton,
Here.
Mackenzie Peters, Kevin Smith,
Here.
Ann Williams.
All right, please rise for the pledge. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Everyone should have a copy of the agenda in front of them or on the screen.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
Support. We have a motion with support to approve the agenda as printed. Any further discussion before we vote? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Consent agenda consisting of the minutes of the regular council meeting of February 13th, 2024, and the approval of bills for February 22nd, 2024 for $440,789.68.
Make a motion to approve.
Consent
Okay.
agenda.
I didn't, that wasn't a motion, so you guys are,
Go ahead.
whoever.
I don't care.
Do it. All right, we'll give it to Kevin and Bob no support.
Yeah.
We have a motion with support to approve the consent agenda. Kim, may I have roll call, please?
Stephen Baldry,
Aye.
Robert Bishop,
Aye.
Richard Hamilton, Mackenzie Peters, Kevin Smith,
Aye.
Ann Williams,
Aye.
Mike Kramer.
Aye. Motion carries. Public comment. Yes, please.
Yeah, I just had I'm Randall Bass. I have a comment on the disposal fee increase. And I'm concerned about I understand that we didn't take bids for this. That's my understanding. And I'm wondering why. And wondering why we would renew a contract without looking at least 3 bids. I know the township looks at least 3 bids for new work and new contracts, and I think that it's in the village's best interest. I think it's in the citizens' best interest that the village would support a 3 bid for any new contracts or, any new business. I think it would be, even if we don't, I understand the rate continue to go up all around, but I kind of feel like we're kind of put in a box here where we have to take exactly what was, I don't feel like we have any control over it. It's a variable that we need, I think the citizens would appreciate. And I know Mackenzie offered that when I was here last. I remember that anyway. It's from memory that she suggested, and if I'm wrong, please tell me that I'm incorrect, but that we take bids. It would be prudent that we do that. So that's pretty much it. I do have a question about whether there's an agreement available from Republic that we could scrutinize or take a look at. Is that available on the website? And I'm curious about the single hauler ordinance. And if that information is all available on the website, I'll refer back to that. But just upon glancing at it, I just wondered if there's more information that we could get a hold of, or at least I could get a hold of and look at, so that I understand it a little better. I'd just like some options. We just saw a rate increase on water sewer. I'm still looking at that, trying to figure that one out. And then we have the disposal increase. And I know this contract is a done deal through 2029, I understand. And I'm wondering if there are any contingencies that would take us out of that. If what would break that agreement? I think that's pretty much it. Just looking for a little more transparency, I guess, and some information. Thank you.
All right, anybody else? All right. We have reserve time, but they are not here.
Never heard.
So
I'll send a text and see if I
if
can get
Ms.
hold
Getty
of her.
shows up, we can circle back. We'll move on to ordinances and resolutions. Ordinance 2137. Mr. Powers?
Good evening, council.
Good evening.
So just a little background pertaining to this ordinance 2137. The notice was sent out regarding a public hearing of the Plan Commission on November 7th. This was followed by notice to the Village Council public hearing on November 28th, when ordinance 2135 was presented on November 28th, 2023. However, the ordinance omitted 36 State Street, while the publication of ordinance 2135 also excluded this property. So what I'm saying is that this is a corrective action as it was omitted from the ordinance. But if you look at the attachments pertaining to the notice of the public hearing regarding the Plan Commission as well as the Village Council, all due notice was given to members of the public, and all consideration whether or not this should be adopted was done as well. This is just the way that we could correct that discrepancy. If you have any questions pertaining to this, I'd be more than happy to address those.
If memory serves, we intentionally omitted this site because there was
No.
pending legal action? Was that the case?
No, this is the village-owned property.
Okay, so this is the
This,
parking lot.
when I was on vacation, that the ordinance was drafted and this property was not on there. The
Okay,
village owns it. It would be no negative impact to anyone else. So this is a site that the village had released the RFQ for, that helped to solicit the adoption of the future land use plan being part of the new zoning districts.
and we've already conducted our phase 1 and phase 2 studies on this property?
Yes.
I'm good. Anybody else?
Just for clarification on the adoption of it, do we have to have a degree of specificity on the parcel when we adopt it?
So 37, the ordinance has that parcel in it. So this is just correcting that discrepancy.
Perfect.
Motion to approve ordinance 2137.
Okay. Well, Mr. President, I would make a motion to adopt ordinance 2137 as it's been presented.
Support. We have a motion with support to adopt ordinance 21 to rezone 36 State Street. Any further discussion before we vote? Hearing none. Can I have roll call, please?
Robert Bishop,
Aye.
Richard Hamilton, Mackenzie Peters,
Aye.
Kevin Smith,
Aye.
Ann Williams,
Aye.
Stephen Baldry,
Aye.
Mike Kramer.
Aye. Motion carries. All right, we're moving on to staff reports. Craig?
Good evening. Just a couple items. Everyone should have my report. I had a slight typo in there, so I apologize for that. Double on staff training, which doesn't really make sense the second time around. But anyhow, the Thornapple Area Enrichment Foundation trivia event, trivia night is coming up again on March 16th. If anybody is interested in participating in that. I unfortunately will not be able to because I'm going on vacation the next day, and I'd like to stay married while I'm going on vacation. So we'll skip it this time. But if anybody wants to sign up or let me know, we can get you signed up. So I appreciate everybody, folks signing up for the Berry County Fair so far. Mr. President and Baldry have so far. So if you could check that out, I can email it out again if you'd like for some possible dates for that. And then lots of training going on with staff. Doug just completed his Master of Citizen Planner with MSU Extension, so kudos to Doug for that, all the hard work there. And Glormar is working with Michigan Government Finance Authority or Association on some trainings, and Kim and Rhonda are attending the the clerk association training, so. Any questions? Okay. Oh, and also it was determined that the beaver are not needed to be relocated, so
Oh.
You'll leave it to Beaver.
we're gonna leave them alone, so. All right. Thank you.
Now I feel like we could put, some Wi-Fi cameras out there and just keep an eye on them.
Yeah.
We could have our own Punxsutawney
That'd be
Phil.
kind of fun,
Just be
wouldn't
a
it?
beaver.
Have catering to it. I'm glad to hear that. I'm glad to hear that Beavers are-
We have a cabin north of Beaver Pond, now that got relocated.
Next up, we have Mr. Powers.
Thank you, Council. So we've had, there was a few zoning compliance permits from this previous month. Still is not construction season as of yet, so not a lot going on there. But a couple other items, council committee evaluating parking regulations. We'll discuss that a little later this meeting too, when that's appropriate. But the Mid-Villa Development Agreement, infrastructure needs included. We've had some preliminary numbers. Hopefully there's more information coming to the council in the not so distant future. For anyone who didn't notice, the Baby Bliss site, the 3 buildings are down and the majority of the Baby Bliss property is gone. About a quarter of the building is remaining. The ORV draft ordinance, the MCOW meeting on March 5th for further evaluation before sending out any potential public notice. So 36 State Street, I know we just touched base about that as part of this last ordinance. RFQ was sent out and see if there was people who are interested in developing that site. We've had some interest. Well, we're either looking at presenting that to the council at the end of March or the beginning of April. So it may be the April MCOW for that. There's still some logistics, but that will be coming soon. Another item, recently looked at the Plan Commission statutes along with the bylaws. Plan Commission is going to be looking into whether or not amendments are needed because currently section 46.37 says that the Plan Commission is required to host a meeting each month. And if we have no business, should we conduct a meeting? I don't know. Maybe some of those items are worth discussing. Other than that, not too much going on. Does anyone have any questions? Any of those items?
Really just congratulations on the achievements, Doug. That's,
Right.
All right, thank you.
that's a lot of hours
Congratulations.
invested in the community.
Yes.
Definitely will
The
benefit.
zoning administrator certification took about 60 modules with a couple days there and then 150 some exams. So, yeah, it took a little bit, but it was worth it.
Very good.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right. I do not see Bob.
So I can give a brief update related to what happened between January 16th and February 15th. So the dumpster placement, all those are gone. None of this should be on here and the upcoming agenda. Obviously, the Baby Bliss property, we just discussed this. The overnight parking, we've been analyzing how many parking spaces are used and also working with administrative staff to see what the best process is to maintain, appropriate permitting needs. The issues within the right of way also gone. The signs at the areas on here are one of the property addresses does not exist, but will be corrected because there are none at any of those areas. Anyone have any questions?
Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. James.
Good evening, council. Few things for you this month. The DDA hosted a very successful ribbon cutting for Pixel Perfect, the most people I've seen in attendance there, and they had a great opening weekend. We also have a new business in town that's set to open on March 1st, Thornapple Eye Care. I had a chance to meet with them, talk about DDA incentives, and just things about Middleville. I've been meeting with DDA directors in the area for the past couple of months, and I'm planning to meet with an even larger group of local leaders and directors next month. So I'm excited to do that. Small Business Week started today. There's lots of participating businesses and opportunities for patrons to win something, which is fun. The partner program for 2024 has went live, and we have received multiple sponsorships. So we're excited to continue working with local business, and the joint meeting is scheduled for April 9th at 5:30 with council and the DDA. This should serve primarily as an educational opportunity for both boards to work with Williamson Works in learning what TIF is, how we can spend that money, what that looks like, and hopefully how we can make the DDA and the goals for the future even more better than what they have been. Lastly, our bylaws should be going to the DDA meeting in March. Does anyone have any questions?
I have one.
Yeah.
The April 9th meeting, even though we are, I'm super excited about the education portion of it, but I was also hoping there would be open dialogue and discussion on village goals and things like that. Is that planned as well in the meeting, or?
I believe towards the end of the meeting time, there will be time for dialogue. And the point of the conversation, the intro is the education, so that in that second half, we can all have a conversation saying, this is what TIF is supposed to do, and this is what we think we can do with TIF. So yes.
Yep, and I'm working with Marilyn on some options for strategic planning too, so we can include that. Probably
Okay.
not March, but coming soon, so
Okay, I mean, not in April.
we'll see. I don't know. I'm talking with her tomorrow, so.
Oh, I see.
Yep.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions for Gretchen? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
We have liaison reports. Mackenzie, did you want to talk about the library committee?
Sure. We had a very good meeting last week. We were awarded the grant that we had applied for, which I think totaled 15,000 out of that 25,000. So we're still working on getting additional financial support through various boards and see what that looks like before we present something to the village and kind of get our ducks in a row for the location that we'd like to propose, as well as size of the library. So that way, when we come to the board, the council, we can present how much we would need to fill the rest of that assessment fee, and also have somewhat of a framework of how we'd like that library to look. So the assessment fee, or the assessors can also incorporate that into their surveying.
For the feasibility study.
Yeah, for the feasibility study.
There we go.
Yep.
All right. And then TAPRC met?
Yep, we met. I'm still working with President Kramer and Craig on some details of discussion points for later on, so I don't want to get too much into that right now, but it was a good first meeting. I got some thoughts and ideas, and I look forward to having future discussion on that. Yep.
Dick, did you want to tell us about the planning commission going
I
on?
would be pleased if we have no business in that commission meeting, not to be required to meet. So, I don't know how we go about that, but this guy got to hang around here till 7:00 for a no-nothing meeting.
Open
What do we
meeting?
do? What do
Take
we
public
do?
comment?
What do
Close the
we
meeting?
What do we do with that?
I don't know. In the past, we haven't had meetings, so it's going to be something that you'd have to review.
Okay.
See if we can have no meeting.
Doug and I have been talking about that.
So we
too.
don't need a bylaw change or anything like that?
Might,
Okay,
Maybe.
might.
thank you.
Anybody else? I don't think the LDFA met since the last time we were here, so I think we're good. All right, no unfinished business. We are down to the DDA appointment. Rhonda, do you want to take this, or do you want Craig to talk? Okay. not gonna force you.
Before you start, by the way,
Yeah.
you did a stellar job, and I know that you were super busy yesterday, so
Yesterday? Oh,
yeah, thanks for you and all the people that participated
you're welcome.
in the election. That was awesome.
You're welcome. There was a lot of new people working. So a little bit of a learning curve, but that's okay. I'm sorry. I'm trying. But anyway, this what we need here. I try to change my pitch, but it's not working. What we have before you tonight is just basically to fix the mistake on the term limit or the term on Derek's appointment. That was my oversight. And so I'm here to fix it.
So to save Rhonda's voice, the intention was to make the two appointments for the two terms that were up for election, not the one that had just resigned. So we appointed it to the wrong spot clerically. So we're just fixing the clerical issue with that. And that's what this is. So if anyone feels so inclined.
I'll make a motion to approve the, oh geez, I can't read the thing.
Clarification.
Yes, yeah.
I'll clean it up if you want to make the motion to do it.
Make the motion to approve Derek Dean to a 4-year term on the DDA expiring 2/13/28.
28.
I'll support. We have a motion with support to approve, to correct the appointment of Derek Dean to the 4-year term expiring 2/13/28. Any further discussion before we vote? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Rhonda.
The two new people have been sworn in as well. So,
There are 2 nays.
Yeah, 2 nays.
oh, I'm sorry.
You were very fast.
I am sorry. There are 2 nays. Okay. Motion still carries.
Was Mr. Smith and Ms. Williams?
Poosh, I'm glad I'm not in that chair tonight.
So am I.
So are we.
Do you want me to read the brief on this or?
No,
Okay.
it's fine. I got it. Basically what we have here, you guys don't have to approve our forms or anything like that. You don't approve our internal forms. But you do have to approve the fees. There's no change in those other than, Alec will have the, what's that word I want? Discretion to determine if we need to charge for DPW services. There are events where his guys spend a lot of time. So, that, and then just so you know that we did put in there, that every event needs to have insurance. It did just used to say, do you have it? They said yes or no. It's definitely in our best interest that they have insurance. And I also took the word special off the event permit. They're events, they're not special. And there was a couple last year that people were like, why is it so special? So I took the word off. And then basically just streamlined the forms. We had a separate form for everything. We don't anymore. So all I need you to approve is the fees, the rental and DPW services.
Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion to approve the facility and are we doing parks too? Facilities and
So
parks.
facility rental fees.
Yeah.
Okay,
As-
so
as presented.
as the
Yeah.
pricing schedule indicates.
Just
Support.
All right, we have a motion with support to approve the facility rental fees as presented. Any further discussion before we vote?
I have a question. What type of insurance is needed?
Just liability
General
insurance.
Liability in the
So-
amount of $1 million.
So if a resident wanted to like have their family reunion there, they've got to get a special
No.
piece of insurance?
A special event is when you invite the community and
Okay,
it's open. If you're renting and you just have your guest list as these people, you're fine.
okay,
When you say, hey, community, come on in, that's an event.
okay.
See, isn't that what made it special though?
It often does require rental too, but they're separate pieces of paper.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Any other questions? All right, we have a motion with support to approve the facility rental fees as presented. All
Are
those
you-
in-
Are you including the 25?
Yes.
Or are you doing it separate? Okay,
No.
All together.
altogether,
Altogether.
okay. All right.
So all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. I'm going home now.
All right, next we have the DDA lease agreement.
So what you have in front of you is a renewal of the current lease agreement with the DDA for the office in the front lobby of the Village Hall with the same terms as before, expiring 1 year from now and unless you renew it again. It's been a good relationship so far. We've been working really well with each other with the DDA, and I think it's been working out well with, Gretchen being able to, have her face there as people come in and see her and things like that. So
Mr. President, I would like to make a motion to approve the lease agreement between the Downtown Development Authority and the Village of Middleville for $1.
Support.
Oh, sorry.
We have a motion with support to approve the DDA lease agreement. Any further discussion before we vote? Hearing none.
should probably have a roll call.
It's a dollar.
Do roll
It's a
call.
contract though. I know.
Kim, may I have roll call, please?
Yes. Richard Hamilton,
Aye.
Mackenzie Peters,
Aye.
Kevin Smith,
Aye.
Ann Williams,
Aye.
Stephen Baldry,
Aye.
Robert Bishop,
Aye.
Mike Kramer.
Aye. Motion carries. We have Neptune meter reading software.
Not yet, I don't think.
Oh, 36 State Street.
Yep. So we received a quote in November to move the power lines along 36 State Street from the middle of the property to the property line next to TVC Church. In November, we received a quote for roughly $44,000, and in less than 4 months, it jumped almost $10,000, or actually almost $15,000. So I'm asking. So the LDFA originally approved up to $50,000 to move them. They don't meet until April, so I'd like to get a jump start on this before the prices increase again. So I'd like to approve the total price of the up to LDFA approved up to $50,000, so I would like to ask another $8,000 from general fund, and then I'll ask LDFA to reimburse the village at that point. So
I'll make a motion to approve the recommendation for relocation of power lines along 36 State Street, property not exceeding, what's that value? I can't see.
$8,000.
$8,000 from the general fund.
Support. We have a motion with support to, you got it, Kim. Relocate power lines not to exceed $8,000 from the village, $50,000 from the DDA or the LDFA. Any further discussion before we vote? Hearing none. Kim, may I have roll call, please?
Mackenzie Peters,
Aye.
Kevin Smith,
Aye.
Ann Williams,
Aye.
Stephen Baldry,
Aye.
Robert Bishop,
Aye.
Richard Hamilton,
Aye.
Mike Kramer.
Aye. Motion carries.
All right, thank you.
Now we are on to the Neptune meter reading software.
Mike, you just must have been used to me last meeting trying to jump ahead of schedule.
Just excited to move it along. I see that clock back there.
Good evening. What council has in front of them? So we are looking for approval from council to upgrade our media reading software. Our current software we purchased, the software itself we purchased back in, I believe, 2010. Then in 2014, we replaced our handheld reader that actually goes out and reads. The software itself is downloaded on our computer. It is housed inside the village network. Unfortunately, the software, like everything else in IT, is currently obsolete and is going to be stopped being supported in June of this year by the software engineers and support team. So when we use it, it'll work just fine. We can continue to use it for the next 25 years. Unless Microsoft Windows does an upgrade or a fix or something happens with software. So that odds of that happening are slim to no. We're gonna end up being where we can't use it. With that, so then we have three options with that. Well, three realistic options. I'll put it that way. I'll give you a fourth one here in a second. So we could buy what they are referring to on the statement as a belt clip. That is essentially a small device that Bluetooth connects to a tablet, and that will assist us in going out and reading the meters. And then also we will purchase new software. Unfortunately, with this new software, that will be a $2,900 yearly fee. But I'm being told with that money, it will cover all upgrades. It'll be a cloud-based software. You don't have to worry about anything going obsolete from here on out if we pay that fee. Again, just like with other fees, that is not a locked-in fee. I'm told it's a yearly fee, but I'm sure it'll go up from there. And then there'll be an implementation fee of $2,189. And then there's a mobile mapping, which that might be an optional of $750. I gotta double check that. And then excuse me, at the bottom of that first line, it's not up here. You have the belt clip option that is $6,423. That's what staff is recommending we go with. That is essentially replacing exactly the type of read and how we read exactly what we do. So it's replacing what we go with. If we chose to, if council chose to, they could spend an additional $11,000, and this would be get a mobile reader. The benefit to the mobile reader is it's faster and reads faster. Right now, I have a hard time justifying that. Right now, it takes 3 to 4 hours per quarter for staff to go out and read meters. So let's just 16 hours a year we're spending reading meters. If we were to purchase that, that would cut it down to hour and a half. But it's hour to hour and a half a quarter. So you're at 4 hours versus 16 hours a year for $11,000. So that's big payback for me. The only positive to that is if we can easily upload the reads into this mobile reader, and we can put it in a truck, and as we drive around throughout the given days, we can continuously collect reads. So if there is any high usage or low usage history or questions that come up from consumers, staff would have a lot more data to look at to give the customers. So there's a lot more data collection, a lot more data that we can have, but the time savings, I have a hard time justifying the time savings. So really that $11,000, you're getting data collection. The third option is would be an additional $40,000 to $70,000 on top of that. Again, staff's not recommending it. I'm just giving you all options if you choose to go this way. That would be, it's called a fixed space network. Essentially, doing reads would be our utility billing clerk sitting at her desk and clicking, and then all the meters would be read. There is data collectors that would be stationed all throughout town, anywhere from 1 to 2, possibly 3 data collectors. And that's why there's such a wide range of price, because each data collector is about $35,000. They literally put it on a high structure water tower pole around the area. They would do all this mapping for us, and they would say, if you put this pole here, you can collect everything in town, or you got to put multiple ones up to collect everything in town. So you would be able to click and read very quickly, and those are constantly 24 hours a day collecting data. So you could say, Mike calls me and said, my water bill's through the roof, something's going on. We could get on the computer and I could say, well, Mike, the last 4 days, your water's been running nonstop, running 500 gallons a minute nonstop. You have something going on in your house. So lots of data, lots of collection.
It's a lot of water. I'm not know where it's
Check the
going.
basement. Check the
Um,
basement door.
And then also,
A fire truck and I didn't know.
with that additional data, additional information, that annual fee would jump up to $6,600 a year. Again, I'm just laying everything on the table for council to choose. At this time, I think if we are going, staff has directed the recommending, sorry. Well, yeah, recommending / directing the Ferguson, there's a mapping that they can do that is free. So they can go out and do all this. We give them all of our locations and where all of our assets are, our water tower stuff. And they can say, you will need 2 collectors, you will need 3 collectors. That is a free service they provide for us. So we're at least getting that done now. Once we have that done, if we do nothing with it for 25 years, so be it, but we have that information because it's free and it may be cost down the road. But beyond that, we're recommending for council to approve to purchase the new software with the annual fees and the belt clip to maintain the reading that we have in the amount of $12,263.14. I guess lastly, the fourth option is to go out and get more bids from another meter distributor and look at revamping all of our meters and replacing 1,400 meters in town. Again, not recommending that. I just want to say there is different options if council so choose staff to look farther into it.
So I had a question.
Yeah.
So the fixed network gateways, they're obviously not $35,000 a piece because that includes the install. Do we know what the actual gateway cost is?
I do not know what the actual gateway costs. That 35,000, yes, that is completely from ground up and all install. So that is a rough number. Once we have that mapping data that they're going to, and that mapping data, it was several months out before they could even get to us to do that. With that being said, for troubleshooting in the field, even if we did that fixed base, we'd still have to get the belt clipped option because we install a meter, we have to make sure it works. The meter's not reading properly, we have to go out in the field and do it. And the only way to read it, unfortunately, is that. The handheld option we have right now, when we purchased it in 2015, I believe, 14, that was about $7,500.
If I may. What was the annual fees for your recommended option? So it's 12,000 in new equipment and then what in annual fees?
2,900.
2,900 in annual fees.
The next up option, which is $11,000 more.
Yes.
Just for the consideration of the board, would that help us avoid the water fee audit pain and suffering, where we could just immediately get data on all usage, find out what everyone's usage is, be able to figure out what accurate averages are in real time, and have that data freely available in case somebody wanted to, say, for instance, come to the board or come to the village and say, what is this actually, what's the impact of this particular fee increase going to cost me? I mean, would it allow for better data?
It would allow for better data. And when you say accurately 100%, because what we would be doing is, let's just say every other week, Ron is going to upload the reads into this reader, and we're going to throw it in the truck. The guys are not going to be driving a set route. They're going to be going out and doing their daily task, whatever their daily task may be.
And
whatever
it just
that takes them,
automatically does whatever.
and it just reads.
So this isn't a fixed installed unit. This is something you just plug into the cigarette lighter.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah. It is not affixed to a truck.
That's the $11,000 more.
No, the $11,000 one is not affixed to a truck either. It's just a bigger unit.
That's the one I was asking.
Me too.
I thought that was installed on a truck, so
No.
it just depended on where your truck was.
Yeah.
Where we would get our readings.
Right. But it is going to be wherever the truck travels. So when I was referring to upsell them once a week or every other week, we are going to collect the data and it's going to be stored. we're not actually going to be, we can, but that would be more work on the assessing and looking at the data every week.
Well, I mean, there's no, I mean, I think the point of having data is to actually store it and look at it and analyze it later if we
Right.
needed to. But
Yeah.
so that would be an additional task to take that data and move it into a space. Is that what you're
Yes.
saying?
Yes.
And what is that? I mean,
I
you're
can't-
saving 15 hours a quarter.
No.
A year,
No,
12
no,
a year.
12 hours a year we're saving.
I misunderstood. I thought
So
you said
it
something
is-
like an hour a quarter versus 16 a quarter.
No, so it's 3 to 4 hours a quarter to
Got
an
it.
hour a quarter.
Fair. All right. I
So we're
misunderstood.
looking at 4 hours a year versus 16 hours. a
Could you
year.
use like an additional hour to move that data from the system into a computer?
Potentially, I don't know what it consists of, but yes, I would say yes, without knowing that.
The reason why I'm pressing in that direction versus status quo is just simply because I think the more information we have, the better we can service at a moment's notice,
Mhm.
because we could get really granular information if we needed it.
Right.
Second, I think that mobile option is awesome, and I think that having that, having the additional higher speed, there's less
Mhm.
drag on and friction there.
Can I say one thing?
Yep.
So the fixed point that Alec was talking about, the up to 35,000 would be everything, including base and concrete and everything. So if we do this map study and we have one of our water towers and they say, hey, we can actually put something on a water tower, it could be actually less at that point.
Right.
So I think one of the reasons we're really leaning towards just the belt clip now is once we get the map and we see what some other options are, maybe we can skip over the extra $11,000 and just go right to the fixed.
The third more
Right.
expensive or most expensive.
Right, which would give us data all the time.
Yeah, essentially what Craig is saying, we're start with this now, see what the mapping shows. Once we get the mapping back, we could come present to council, say, okay, for X amount more dollars, we could do the fixed base, or for an additional 11,000, we can go
Right.
with that mobile unit. Because once we do the mobile unit, and if we choose to go with fixed base, that mobile unit would be almost pointless.
Is it going to require, if we skip the opportunity to do it today and then come back and do it twice, are we going to end up paying more because we came back to the well and said, no, we don't want the fixed one, we want the best one? Or
Does the
third
price go
option?
up?
Yeah, does it, like, are we going to have to repay for implementation costs and all that stuff? I mean, I think the journey I'd like to see mapped out is what does it look like if we did go with status quo today and went to that third option? Because it sounds a little bit like that might be the direction you want to go in the end, or not.
I
Be sold on it.
yeah, I'm not totally sold on it just because I don't see the time savings.
Fair, all right.
I don't see the investment versus return. The biggest thing I see is the data.
Which would be the second option, right, with a more expensive.
The
$11,000.
third option is the best data you could possibly get.
Right.
But you're also talking an additional $6,600 a year.
Yep.
In maintenance
That's
fees.
a lot.
That base coverage change as the village grows?
Yes, it would.
Yeah, so you got more
Right.
cost.
And to answer your question, no, we would not have more implementation fees. It would just be another tool in our toolbox. But there is, yes, costs could go up. These costs are good until June 1st of this year. And then Neptune always has a price increase June 1st of the year. What that price increase is?
Yeah.
You know what?
Does it save money and time on the troubleshooting part though?
No.
If we had better information or better data?
Yeah, on the billing side, yes, it could.
Mhm.
Yes.
I'm comfortable with going with option 2, which is the recommendation of staff.
Actually, the foundation is the recommendation of staff. I'm toying with the second option, which is the $11,000 more.
I thought it was option 2 was the,
So my
12,000.
question, circling back to that, asking what we were going to end up paying for just the fixed network gateway. We spent a lot of time and effort crafting our distributed antenna network system ordinances to make sure we didn't end up with a 135-foot tower somewhere in the village. After seeing the implementation of these devices throughout Grand Rapids, Ann Arbor, Lansing, they attach to light poles. If that map comes back and we need 2 or 3 of them, maybe instead of paying for the pole itself, we could go back, revisit our DAS tower ordinance, see if we can make some adjustments, allow for the cellular companies to come in and place a tower, and then we could co-locate on that and save a boatload of money.
Amen.
While providing additional cell service to our residents. So I think option 1 is key right now. Just getting the software and getting it started so we can experience it, learn its quirks, and then get the map like you suggested, and then see where that map takes us and see if there's a way we can implement the third option without spending money on poles. Fair. So my 2 questions for Ferguson would be, I believe I have the answer because it looks like it's capable of being mounted on a cellular tower because it does not provide interference, but just finding out what that, the base price of the gateway is. And whether or not you all list that device for being co-located on a DAS tower.
And maybe get just a better understanding of if we did take a phased approach to this, if we could get a break on it. You know what I mean? Like, just because we're already a customer and so on and so forth, like, we're not, like, what's involved and how can we find value in already being, having the base?
Yeah, so we've been a customer of Neptune's for probably the last 40 years or so.
Right.
But with there's the software setup. So if you, I don't know if you guys will look at the breakdown, some of the software setup, you don't have, that's not going to happen. It's a one-time thing.
Yep.
So where it has the $2,189, that's, you're paying that either A or B on the Ferguson sheet here. So if we pay it on the top and we go to these fixed network, we're not going to pay it again. That's the initial
software.
Because the
setup.
software's
Yes.
already installed.
Yes, that's just for software. Yep.
And then there may be opportunity to just forego the fixed network gateway fee where it says like the $70,000.
So yeah, that's $75,000. That's $35,000
Yeah.
per installation. That's for the complete installation. The fixed network, what Mike was talking about.
Yep.
See how much that costs actually by itself without installation,
Right.
because we might have a pole or water tower. Yes, that's what I have to see.
Perfect. All right. That's
And we won't be able to see a lot of that until the mapping's complete.
All right.
Well,
I mean,
Good.
No.
I'll make a motion to approve the recommendation from Alec to move forward with the quote for Ferguson Waterworks to purchase the new meter reading software and hardware in the amount of $12,263.14.
And I support.
We have a motion with support to move forward with the meter reading software. Any further discussion before we vote?
I have a question.
Sure.
It says belt clip requires mobile device 1 unit. There's no spare. There's no.
Mobile device, we have,
It says number of units 1. We don't have any, wouldn't have any spare hardware or anything. If this. then-
so belt clip belt clip transceiver. So that's what we're buying, the belt clip transceiver requires mobile device. That's saying that we have to provide a mobile device. We have 2 or 3
phone.
tablets around. We have
Okay, so
they
we've
work
got
on
more
cell
than one
phones.
reader, so to
Yes.
speak, but this- okay.
So what's the warranty coverage on the belt clip transceiver?
I do not have that in front of me. I believe it was 5 years, but I'm not positive.
Just, yeah, I get what you're saying, yeah. But it can connect to any phone via Bluetooth that has the software on it, but we only have one transceiver.
Yes, correct.
But we have a 5-year warranty on it.
And
I believe,
So we're
I'm
gonna,
not
we're gonna
positive.
double check that.
Yes.
and
Warranties are good. It just depends how long it takes to get them fixed.
Yeah.
the base, the base level that the staff recommendation
Yes.
does have an annual fee to it.
Correct. That
It
is
does not
for the
necess-
software.
For
That
the
is,
software only.
that's only
The
software.
Okay, I got you.
Yes.
That's clear.
So the software that annual fee is there regardless,
Got it.
because it is housed on a not proprietary, but a community server. And is housed on the Amazon server.
All right.
Just trying to see if the question was answered in here. Not seeing it. Any other questions? Before we move this forward? All right, we have a motion with support. We're spending money. Kim, may I have roll call, please?
Kevin Smith,
Aye.
Ann Williams,
Aye.
Steve Baldry,
Aye.
Robert Bishop,
Aye.
Richard Hamilton,
Aye.
Mackenzie Peters,
Aye.
Mike Kramer.
Aye. Motion carries.
Thank you.
All right. Mr. Powers, let's talk about some parking.
Sure, we can talk about that. So, recommendation is for the village council to authorize use of legal services to draft an ordinance or resolution limiting parking as follows. Parking shall be prohibited on the south side of the road within Misty Ridge subdivision, and parking in Rolling Oaks subdivision shall be prohibited within the public right-of-way in front of houses with odd addresses. So the background, so in November, Emergency Management Services responded to a call in Misty Ridge where first responders were not able to get their vehicles to the address needing service. On December 12th, 2023, Chief Richardson, who is here with us today, first notified the council of these challenges. So on January 3rd, staff requested available times to schedule a meeting with sending out background information. On January 22nd, a meeting was not able to be scheduled, so a report was sent to committee members for review. And then on February 5th, a final report was drafted with all feedback to be presented to the committee. Fiscal impact for this would be less than $1,000. What I have here is some possible alternative actions would be determined as unnecessary to direct the attorney to prepare revisions to existing ordinance and table this until council sees fit to revisit, or to propose alternative solutions that the ad hoc committee can meet to discuss and prepare further recommendations.
Mr. Powers, just one quick
Yes.
amendment to this. I'm assuming odd numbers because even numbers have the fire hydrants on that side, with the exception of Lloyd Court, where the hydrants, I do believe, live on the odd side of
So
the.
that is correct. That the reason as to why this recommendation was drafted in this way was because the properties that currently have hydrants, having the mailboxes located on that side as to where then parking would only be allowed in areas that emergency management is less likely to need immediate access to, seems as a logical solution to reduce any potential conflicts.
Will, did Middleville Police Department, excuse me, I'm sorry, but are they okay with this plan, especially if they have to write tickets for parking in front of people's mailboxes or? I'm sorry.
So no worries. So didn't discuss these items in the sheriff's department, where the sheriff's department made multiple issues that they have associated with currently being able to enforce parking infractions.
Yeah.
But I have worked closely with the sheriff's department along with the DPW on trying to mediate these issues through the adoption of this ordinance. However, if an ordinance was drafted with this language, you would have separate items that DPW may need, come back with financial requests to have the work done, and issues associated with the administrative implementation of the police department are beyond the scope of this memorandum. So that is something that would have to be addressed separately.
Does this,
Go ahead, sorry.
does this legal service recommendation include resolutions to the other issues that police had concerns about?
I can certainly inquire or add those inquiries as to where we could get a memorandum, from the attorney, giving further advice on issues associated with law enforcement or location of mailboxes too. If that's what the council wants, we could certainly have that inquiry as well.
I definitely agree.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. So I would like to make a motion to authorize the use of legal services to draft an ordinance or resolution limiting parking as follows. Parking shall be prohibited on the south side of the road within Misty Ridge subdivision, and parking in Rolling Oak subdivision shall be prohibited within the public right-of-way in front of houses with odd addresses. And also to address any concerns brought forth by the Berry County Sheriff's Department Middleville unit. And let's change that to not to exceed $2,000 so that we don't have to come back and ask again.
Support.
Does that include mailbox possible relocation as well? Okay.
And just to clarify, you're talking about enforcement and the ramifications of enforcement and following it through
Yeah.
to the end
Yeah.
and then also, just for clarification, the expiry of a particular citation. So there's a lot of meat on that. So yes, I think we're on the same page.
Now, I don't know if you have any questions for the chief since he's here too.
Oh, I mean, if you've been following the local politics, you know that I have lost my temper a couple times over not allowing the fire department to have access to areas of the village. So I am right there with you.
So I appreciate your support. I hate to be an alarmist and try to say that babies are gonna die every day if we don't do this, but it is gonna probably over time, there'll be an incident that happens that might be not life-threatening, but it'll cause a decrease in patient outcomes or loss of property. So I'm glad we're taking a proactive approach to addressing that. And I appreciate it very much that you all have been very supportive of it. Thank you.
There was a kitchen fire across the street from my house, and if there was a baseball game going on at that time, I'd have pushed cars myself. And probably got in a fist fight with the owners. Luckily, that was not the case. So, yes, we definitely understand your need because every second counts when you need to get there. And we're,
Especially now that fire doubles in about every 15 to 30 seconds. 25 years ago, it was about every minute. All the new plastics and stuff that are in furniture. And the building construction methods now are much lighter weight. So fast responses are very important.
Crucial, yeah.
lighter weight, but somehow twice as expensive.
Engineering, yeah.
You made a motion
That's
and it got
important.
supported,
Absolutely
correct?
did.
All right.
So any further discussion before we vote? Hearing none. Kim, may I have roll call, please?
Ann Williams,
Aye.
Steve Baldry,
Aye.
Robert Bishop,
Aye.
Richard Hamilton,
Aye.
Mackenzie Peters,
Aye.
Kevin Smith,
Aye.
Mike Kramer.
Aye. Motion carries.
Thank you.
All right. Oh, don't step down, and you're still up. You have a planning commission annual report.
Oh, yes, thank you. Enough time, sorry. Thank you. So the recommendation is to approve the Planning Commission annual report. The Michigan Planning Enabling Act requires the Planning Commission to submit an annual report to the Village Council. The Planning Commission reviewed this report at their February 6th meeting and is submitting it to the Village Council for review. There is no fiscal impact. Alternatives that you could request changes to be submitted at a later date. However, you see the annual report as submitted to the Planning Commission. Are there any questions about any of these items or anything you'd like me to discuss within this report?
I'll talk to you later.
Okay, all right.
I'll make a motion to approve the planning commission's annual report.
Support.
We have a motion with support to approve the planning commission's annual report. Any further discussion before we vote? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thanks, Doug.
Thanks, Doug.
All right. Everyone should have a copy of the draft minutes from the DDA meeting on February 20th. Also included is the DDA revenue and expense report, the Lower Grand River Organization of Watersheds report. We are down to our final public comment section. All right, we will move on to final council comment. Anyone want to start?
I'll start.
Mackenzie?
To offer up Craig. Mr. Randy, if you want to get with Craig, he should be able to give you,
Yeah, I can
all
get
the
that stuff. I was
information.
I was gonna talk to him in a minute.
yeah, so just make sure you got your contact
Mhm.
information down. Other than that, happy spring, summer, fall, all those things. No other comment.
All right. Dick? Bob?
I worked the election precinct over at the fire barn yesterday. Everything went awesome. For it being a primary, we had a really great turnout. And congratulations on everyone that is like going to training and doing and availing themselves of those opportunities. I really appreciate that. That's all I've got.
Steve?
I did a training, Zoom training Friday night and Saturday for the winter. If I used to do that again, I'd recommend going in person. The presenters were, I think, would be more comfortable versus doing it on Zoom. One presenter who was quite interesting to listen to, but he had these vertical studs behind him, and the room was dark, and his laptop lit up his face like a ghost thing. And I think it would have been better to do that in person, but it covered a lot of different subjects, 4 or 5. It was interesting that the financial presenter told me, because of my old board review days, told me the distaste he had for taxable value versus SEV. Kind of thinks we should be paying property tax on SEV instead of taxable value. But, so I didn't get a chance to engage him in a conversation, but it was interesting, and it was worthwhile doing, especially being new. So I gleaned quite a bit of information on it. They did emphasize learning the charter, so I started doing that, and that's quite an experience there. But
Some scary text in there.
and there were some other things that I get to a bunch of, and that I've got the copy of the presentation too, if anybody wants to see it. I don't know if we have a place to file that in the
Email?
village type of thing.
Can you just toss it an email?
Yeah,
Just shoot it to everybody or shoot it to Craig and you can distribute it?
Yeah, I can do that.
That'd be nice.
but it was worthwhile to I got to sit there in my sweatpants and a fairly decent shirt, have a cup of coffee. But yeah, it was worth doing.
Was that the newly elected official training?
Yeah, and this one was 3.5 hours Friday night and then 3.5 Saturday morning.
I think it was a little different one than the newly elected.
Yeah, it was. This was,
Had some additional topics on it too.
yeah.
I'm trying to think what it was called.
I could give you a little bit.
Winter
more.
Summit or something like that.
Oh.
Winter solstice thing. The municipal league. Yeah, we had Bob Slattery was speaker, Daniel Gilmartin. We had Patrick McGraw, Bob Slattery again. So it was pretty, of course, they always try to sell you on the next summit all the time.
Winter Summit is what it was called
Yeah.
from the ML.
But it was very interesting for me. I don't know how many times they brought up the charter, but if you're gonna learn anything, learn your charter. So that's what I'm starting to do.
Thank you. Mr. Smith?
Thanks again for the staff and volunteers that worked the election. That's why we're here. And it's a big deal. My son voted for the first time. So that was, it went very smoothly and Rhonda was very gratuitous with her direction. So anyways, I just, I think it often goes unsaid, but the staff, your dedication to events like that, certainly serving at the public's pleasure after hours, even when we're at village council meetings, is just awesome. And we do have a great staff. Want to just make sure that we vocalize that every now and then, and you guys do a phenomenal job. So thanks for everything that you do.
Thank you.
And outside of that, I'm done. It's good.
I have nothing. There's nothing going on.
Fair enough. I hate leaving comments unanswered. Randy, the biggest problem we've had in the past, and Craig will fill you in on all the details, he'll get you the ordinances and everything, but we've had issues with the way that it's written, the way that our trash ordinance is written. The smaller companies just can't do it. They don't have the resources, they don't have the liability insurance to be able to even bid. So when we send it out to bid, we've got nobody. So we could try and get bids, but we'd just be postponing the contract at that point. Everything else, yes, absolutely, we need to get 3 bids, but as we found in the past, there just isn't another waste hauler that's capable of even bidding the contract the way it sits. And even then, Republic is telling us that the contract's gonna have to change because they don't make the trucks that they do for spring cleanup anymore. So we're gonna be amending it at that point. But it's definitely worth reading to try and see where the thought process is. I mean, we're still cheaper if you're inside the village versus outside. We're considerably cheaper. Just everything keeps getting more expensive. But
Mr. President, just, I mean, to the point of bids, and I think that that's the key point that you made initially. We did this many years ago when we decided we didn't want like 80 garbage trucks driving around in the very limited space that we have for our village. They came back. They were not so disparate that that it made, I mean, we definitely went with the lowest bidder, and then we locked them in on a below average price increase. And I think it just really speaks to the fact that they've honored that and continue to honor that. We certainly could have gone out different response than when we did originally, and there wasn't those prices that it would have been material resident. And I think given the current price increase, I mean, it would be rhetorical for me to bring up the fact that even places like Wendy's are having humongous price increases because of the cost of labor. Challenges just like everybody else does in order to staff their trucks. They have to pay more money. It's one of the very few things that are really heavily impacted by inflation. And I think that in all fairness, their initial price increase, while it may have seemed to be fairly sizable, they've been in a holding pattern for almost 10 years. So they have not kept up with the cost of inflation. And I think this was a one-time adjustment. But I think if you were to have gone out to bid, and I'm purely speculative, but I'm pretty certain that those Waste Management, Republic, only the larger carriers accomplish what, and there's only a few of them. So I think it really speaks to that.
I mean, realistically, Republic did not bid this originally. They bought the contractor that was doing it, and they inherited the contract.
I'm concerned that the governor put forth fees for some of these disposal companies are going to get greater. And I guess I just don't understand all of that in regards to why gyms, for instance, who I love, have never had a problem. And then was forced into Republic. And it's not just me, it's other residents. I've been in this village for 60 years, and I'm just saying that I just don't feel like it's as transparent as it could be. And when I talked to the township, they expressed to me that they get bids on new contracts, renewed contracts every time. I think it's prudent to do that, but I just feel like I was out of the loop. That's why I'm here. I'd like to be here in the future, make sure I understand it, but I want, and not just keeping the fees low, but make sure that everybody's satisfied with the disposal service, and not, that's a variable. We got increased costs for the water sewer that we're gonna have to, that I still do not understand, and I am going to understand here, as to why we're so much and why we're looking at, I was glad to hear that the lower cost for adjusting the new software and the hardware was something that the president endorsed, but I still don't understand why we're that far behind on water sewer. So I want to understand this disposal, even though it's a small portion of money compared to what, everybody's paying to live in the village, paying our taxes. We just got another assessment increase, automatic, pushed by the state, I'm sure. And all these tipping fees and wages aren't going up. So, and I guess I'm here to also encourage that other residents come down here and voice their concerns. One quick question is what kind of feedback do you get from the YouTube live? Do you know that people are signing on and watching?
Not in real time, I don't know.
Not in real time. There's currently 0 people on. We have went back and we can see how many views there have been, and it's pretty minimal. When I say minimal, under a dozen, probably.
Well, I appreciate it, everybody.
We're trying to be
And
transparent.
I hope that you don't mind me being
No.
inquisitive, but I'm going to ask some hard questions. And I think we just need to all be concerned about why the costs continue to go up. I'm not blaming anybody, but I need to understand.
We've got a couple more minutes. So we're not behind on water infrastructure. The issue we're having is that we're having to divert our capital improvement fund to replacing lead services. And so the money that we would normally be spending on infrastructure improvements to maintain the water system is now being spent to replace lead service, which is mandated by the government. So the state's telling us we have to do that. So that money comes from the budget that we have. Now we have to look ahead because those capital improvements still need to happen. So we have to continue to fund that. So to do that, the water system has to pay for itself. We have to increase the rates.
Oh, since we have, that was about 45 seconds, and we had a couple minutes, so I mean.
We don't get public here very often, and I'm happy to answer questions.
All right, well, I'm happy to ask them. As far as, I had a question about the DDA. In looking at the budget summary, I saw that the wording captured, and I'm trying to understand that. I understand that the state mandate, I think in 2018, that helped the downtown authority funded it with future taxes. I'm trying to understand that. So when that wording captured, does that mean they're using general fund? Pulled out of, we're spending money out of general fund for future taxation to the public?
We're going to have a huge training on that one on April 9th,
All the way.
and we'll stream that one, and you're welcome to show up or watch it online or watch it later.
April 9th?
April 9th. We're going to have experts in to explain it to everybody all at the same time.
I think I got 20 seconds left.
Sure.
Yeah.
What excess do we have? And I wasn't able to look at all of that information and have it available to this question. But if any excesses we have, what do we need? What can we apply towards the problem that's water, sewer, and the prices down for village residents?
So
What can we do?
tax funds and water funds are different. We can't spend tax funds on the water service because the water it's a utility. It has to pay for itself.
Can we spend the ARPA funds that we reallocated for security equipment that I don't feel is necessary towards water, sewer indebtedness or non-indebtedness?
Can we?
Why
Well-
not? I haven't seen why you cannot.
Well,
You can spend it on anything according to the state.
we did have a dilemma when we discussed that. And Alec, you can correct me if I'm wrong. But when we initially allocated the first half of ARPA funds to lead line replacements. The first allocation needed to be spent by the end of 2024, correct? Now, we had to reallocate those funds because we weren't able to get the lead lines in time.
Because we received a grant to
Right.
offset.
Well, we received a grant that released those funds, the first allocation. but we didn't have enough time to respend that on lead lines before the deadline of completion of spending was, down. So
It's use it or lose it money.
it's use it or lose it. So we used it on cameras because it is almost a necessity to have, just because of a lot of vandalism we have.
Well, it's not just
Well,
cameras, but our access system
Yeah.
was similar to the Neptune software. It had been outdated and access was becoming an issue because was it Adobe Flash is no longer supported by Windows, and so we couldn't gain access to our access control system, which is our key fobs. So yeah, it was a package, not just cameras.
So we couldn't use the ARPA funds to apply
For-
towards our water sewer.
Correct. That first initial half that we had initially approved for that, we were fortunate enough through our talented staff to get grant money. So we had the money we had to spend or we would have lost it.
And you take DDA money that you're spending for future taxation and apply it towards your bill.
DDA?
That's again another thing for the 9th meeting because
Yeah.
they're going to explain what those funds can be.
I mean, I'm not saying, I mean, in tough times, you're gonna have to make tough decisions, and I'm here to address the tough times the Middletown's gonna have, and push back on some of the residents here are not gonna be able to recover from that. I see people coming into this village, and their houses are for sale. I don't know why. I would suspect because they feel like they're either overtaxed or there's some kind of other burden. I'm just trying to figure it all out, and I'm not trying to be crass and the assumptions here. I'm not pointing blame at anybody. I'm just trying to figure out why we're trying to develop the downtown area, for instance, and we're using money for future taxation. We're in a debt problem here. The whole country uses debt to buy. We don't need to take that same stance. I know it's a program the state offers, but they're doing it for a reason. And they're also mandating what taxes we have to pay. And they're also mandating that we have to replace lead lines in this village. Nationwide, federal government's helping them along with that. And we don't have a lead problem. According to their guidelines, we don't have a lead problem.
Correct.
So if you want to understand that, I'd be more than happy to talk to you offline about it.
Sure, I know, I went over my 20
No, I mean,
seconds.
today, or, I can use my business card.
Yeah. You have great questions. Your concerns are absolutely spot on, by the way, and I think that.
Yeah,
there's a
usually
lot.
we're not supposed to have back and forth dialogue, but you're the only public here, and I really enjoy public comment, especially good questions. So
I'd like to see more people here.
We would too.
So you might want to, Randy, you might want to pick up a petition and run for office.
you only need 7 signatures in the village.
And, just because I feel like somebody needs to get involved.
And
Learn a lot.
it doesn't hurt to also reach out to your representatives, your Congress people and your state people that the state of Michigan mandated us whether we had a problem or not. So there's certain things that unfortunately are out of our control and we would receive worse violations if we didn't adhere to their,
I do understand.
yeah,
Feel good about it?
Find a way that we can
offset.
do it all.
Yeah.
without having to set everything's pushed on.
All right. Good.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Let's see. So to wrap up my public comment, that got a little long-winded. Again, congratulate Doug on his achievements. As someone who's got 5 licenses, 15 years achieving them, I know that is a long process. And I am incredibly grateful for your dedication to receiving those. It's a lot of work. The village is going to do nothing but benefit from that. So I appreciate it. I appreciate our fire department being here to help us make sure that we have access so that we don't have to worry about paying for dents and dinks on fire trucks because people don't know how to park, or more importantly, to be able to get to house fires, because in my line of work, absolutely every second counts. So that being said, that's all I've got. Oh, no, I almost forgot. Thank you to the community for a massively successful father-daughter dance with minimum staff. I know that there's a volunteer shortage everywhere. Somehow we managed to make that work with 7 people and a DJ. So we are taking volunteer applications for next year.
Starting to work them over.
Because we need like 12 and 7 is pushing it. But yes, thank you for your time. Thank you for your patience. The motion will be in order.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Support.
We have a motion with
Sorry.
support to adjourn. Any further discussion before we vote? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.